Hi, welcome to this channel on magnetic energy technology, principles, applications, and now moving into philosophies and spirituality. Yeah, this particular video is about magnetic energy and politics. Yes, I am going there. It is 2020, the year is 2020, and we are in the decade of transformation. We have been waiting for this decade for a long time. The Earth is in the spotlight right now. The amount of beings observing our planet closely is beyond comprehension. Right now, it's out of control. Even the production crew that is really involved in this little play called Earth, even the production crew is bigger than the actual incarnated beings at this point. So there's a lot going on our planet, a lot of stuff happening. And as we transition and we go through some pretty extraordinary changes in this decade, we are moving into the dawn of a new civilization, a golden age of civilization. And that is something hopefully to look forward to. Hopefully most of who if you watch this video, hopefully you're looking forward to that. So the political scene right now is quite turbulent, and this actually happens to be a pretty interesting year for an election in the United States. And so let's just talk for a second about what's really going on our planet and what some of the beliefs that have led us to where we are now. Now, and I'm going to come back to this, but I want you to keep in mind that what we're going through right now is symptomatic. It's symptomatic of a type of magnetic resonance or vibration that this planet, this solar system has been going through for a very long time, for thousands of years, and we are coming to an end of a cycle. And with the magnetic shifts that are taking place right now, things are going to change quite radically. And it is a fallacy in thinking to think that what we are right now, our expression as humans and our expression of our consciousness and our social expression, it's a fallacy in thinking to think that that's human nature, okay? The incarnations on this planet that we inhabit, they are intimately connected to the magnetic resonance of this planet. And so that as that resonance changes and as the pulse rate changes and as it gets higher and higher and we get a raise in consciousness, that all changes as well. And what the behavioral tendencies, what people can actually express and what energy is supported in their expression of emotion and cognitive processes all changes and becomes heightened. So the whole political system, all the conflict that's happening on our planet right now, it is a result of a lower vibration that is part of a cycle, and it's coming to an end here very very soon. So, but what are some of the beliefs? Because sometimes it's important to be aware of this. So as we transition, we become consciously aware of the type of beliefs that we really should be letting go of. And so First and foremost is this: our world has been just given this idea of empiricism, the lie of empiricism, that physical reality is all there is. So as we transition from empiricism into, you could call it ethericism would be the belief, the theory, the scientific model that we are surrounded and immersed in energy that is constantly flowing, constantly changing, that is relatively neutral in nature, and that converts to magnetic energy, which then runs our universe. So ethericism opens the door to a whole lot of pretty powerful things. And as we transition, the etheric model will no longer be suppressed. The technology that proves the etheric model will no longer be suppressed, controlled, destroyed, confiscated, etc. So empiricism to ethericism. That's a cool. I hope that word becomes. I hope that sticks and it becomes part of the online dictionary, the urban legend or the urban dictionary. So what else do we have? We have opposing forces to one force. So we have this. Our current scientific model is that the universe is made of opposing forces, positive and negative, north and south. And then that really moves into our religious views, our societal views, such as good and evil. So let's address this whole idea, because in the etheric model, in the magnetic energy model, there is no such thing as opposing forces. All forces are working together. Positive and negative are reflections of how energy is transferring to what we could call our dimension from the etheric realm. Same with north and south. They're expressions of the same force. They're different. That's an inflow and an outflow. So north to north repels because they're both either an inflow or an outflow, however you want to define those. Or they attract because it's inflow to outflow. So all part of the same expression. The source of energy, this source of light, this extraordinarily high vibration, this what people will call like the creator force, this is an unopposed force. There is no, and this is, you could call this good if you want to, but it's the creator force. It's the force that essentially provides our universe with the energy that it needs to exist, and there's no force opposing that. So there may be degrees of light. Like there may be, you could be, imagine that you're in pure 100% source energy, source light, super high vibration, pure love, pure light, all the way down to resisting that energy as much as you possibly can and creating maybe like dark energy around you, or what people might call evil. That is not a separate force. It's just a lesser degree of the source. Okay, so they're still part of the same spectrum. There's no opposing force to good. If you want to put it in those type of religious terms, there's no opposing force. It's all part of the same force. It may be resistance to that force, but they're very much part of the same system. One of the other lies that has been propagated upon humanity, and that leads to the type of political system that we have today, is this idea of isolation versus connectivity. So as we move into this transition, we immediately start realizing our interconnectivity with each other. The political system and the powers that be like to have this system. They use it to control people. They use it to control the masses. And it's much easier to do that if you have this belief system that says everybody's an isolated being, everybody's a closed system of energy. But as we move into an etheric model, as we move into a more enlightened and expanded consciousness and view of the universe, we immediately start to see that not only are we completely interconnected with each other and all life in the universe and on our planet, we are part of open systems. There's energy that is constantly flowing in and out of us at all times. And so that energy is usable, it's transformable, it's transmutable, and it can change our environment, it can change our energy, it can change our consciousness. So that's a very important thing that we will be embracing. And so as you think about this the whole political model is designed, if you will, or it's used to control, to manipulate, to keep people suppressed, to keep people locked into paradigmatic opposition, unsolvable problems, constant conflict. And when you think about how our current political system, especially in the United States, but really around the world, they're all based on low vibration energies that tend to keep people suppressed, they're based on scarcity, they're based on a lack, they're based on isolation, closed systems, and they're also in part based on this idea of that there's just this one physical single life, and that will completely transition into the realization that we have an unending number of lives that essentially go on forever. And so all of these realizations lead to a political system that essentially has no parties. As we go through these transitions, the parties will dissolve. The best aspects of both parties will come together. The people that are so-called politicians will be true public servants that do it voluntarily, because as scarcity starts to fade away, corporate control starts to fade away, money starts to fade away, and these people are serving the public out of a calling from their heart space. There's no need to limit the number of servants. They can work together and contribute accordingly. They can utilize the best ideas and principles that are available from a heart space. The idea of voting it may be there for a while, but it will eventually transition out of it, because people will know from their heart space who is the best for that, and it will be a selection. It will be an absolute mass knowing that who needs to be called for that particular position. And it may be several people, and those individuals may be called to do those things. So as we transition into higher technology, higher consciousness, one of the most amazing things that happens in this process is the people that are heart-centered, and there's a lot of light workers on our planet now. We're back, people are back. They're here for this transition. And there's a lot of people that are embracing higher vibratory energy right now. Those people are going to grow in power tremendously as we start going through these transitions. They will grow in number and they will grow in power. Now, here's the interesting thing. Because these light workers around the planet are incarnated along with everyone else, we have very similar magnetic vibratory rates to the rest of the planet through our incarnation. At the same time, we have these light workers their heart energy space will be highly empowered, and the energy flow will be accelerated. So these people, through the guidance of their heart space, will not only tune into each other, but they will be able to influence other people. So as you go through a transition like this, inevitably there's some people that may strongly try to resist the transitions that we're going through. They may be combative. They may want to hold on to a lot of the pain or a lot of the blockages that they've experienced through their lives or through their ancestral heritage or whatever it is. They want to resist going into a high vibratory rate and expanded consciousness. But as light workers go through these changes, their power amplifies tremendously, and as they come together, they have the ability to help those people get to that higher state of consciousness. They have the ability to transform those incarnated beings, those incarnated bodies, into a higher vibratory awareness, into a higher consciousness, and help them remove the blockages. Not only that, but they will have the ability to tune in to people's paths, their heart paths that they've chosen, and that gives them incredible discernment on who is the best for a particular job that will serve the public. And that might be what we currently would call a government role of some sort, whether that's any type of leadership role or whatever it is. They will tune into that. And this change, this transition into a heart-centered political system is the end of secrecy. It is the end of manipulation. It is the end of cover-ups, because everything becomes known to the people that start going into a higher expanded consciousness. They will know, they will see, and not only that, there will be technology that can examine every single little thing that's ever happened, and it's the end of secrecy. And so all things are exposed. Keep in mind, the current political system is combative. They are highly polarized points of view that are interlocked, and there's essentially no solution to them. There's no viable solution because it stays at a lower consciousness. All it is it's the byproduct of a lower vibratory rate, and we're moving right the darkest before the dawn. We're moving right through that, and we're going to transition right out of that. And so as we embrace this newer, higher energy, and with our heart space in mind, the transformation will be unlike anything we've experienced in recorded history, at least in the recent recorded history. And it will be something that people will really come together and work together. For now, how do you navigate something that has so much conflict? One of the ways that you do that is try not to get too attached emotionally or mentally to a current point of view, because as you grip onto a current side, your feeling, your emotion, your energetic vibration becomes tightly polarized, and that is a block toward a higher vibratory energy. So if you can, try to stay neutral. Try to stay neutral with political positions or political candidates. And if you can, take it to your meditative space, to your heart space, even in a tumultuous time, even in a time that's full of conflict where there seems to be no resolution. It's hard to have a resolution at a lower vibration. Every resolution has really serious consequences. Neutral energy brings in a higher vibratory rate, but as people are locked into highly polarized thinking and points of view, it's very difficult to get to that space. So if you vote from your heart space, at this point it may, and you may not even know why, there may not be a rational or cognitive reason for what you're doing, but you may sense somewhere deep inside of you that for this moment in time, for this particular election, my heart is telling me this is what I need to vote for. Maybe it's something you've never done before, but as you honestly and sincerely tune into your heart space, that at least brings you into a higher vibratory state of awareness and consciousness and brings your heart energy into this space. If nothing else, what you're doing is at least you're encouraging a higher vibratory rate on the planet, and you're preparing for the shifts that will be highly involved in heart space energy. And so it's really good practice. It's good practice to look at the issues from a heart space, to try to stay neutral in your views and your political opinions if you can, and keep your vibration as high as possible at this time, and know that everything is just a byproduct of a thing that we're going through, and to expect solutions or to engage in the fight is a low vibratory energy. It's better to stay neutral at this point if you can, and follow your heart direction so that you can embrace a higher level of consciousness. And that also leads to the most creative, the most applicable solutions that are necessary in a tumultuous time. Even when there's a low vibratory rate in general, the heart still has that ability to see the higher picture and the higher path and open up new channels of creativity and new ideas and solutions that we may not be able to get to cognitively, but our heart space is still tapping into a higher vibratory awareness and a global intention or a global plan that is very applicable to the situation. And I think that's where it's important, at least from a magnetic energy model, to stay. The neutral energy brings in the highest vibration, it brings in the most amount of energy, and it allows your consciousness to get to the highest level that we can in these difficult times so that we can come up with the most creative solutions possible. And so with that, I will see you next time.